City of Ames. The board's purpose is to decide on applications for home occupation permits, special use permits, exceptions, and variances to the zoning ordinance. Applications for conditional use permits in the floodplain, requests for reasonable accommodation because of a handicap, and appeals of decisions of the zoning enforcement officer. As a board of the city, we welcome all testimony. We make our decisions based on the facts and evidence as allowed under city code and presented in open meeting. Testimony before the board must be given under oath or affirmation. If the proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that testimony be focused on new facts or evidence not already presented. We ask that you come to the microphone if you wish to speak so that your testimony will be audible and may be recorded. Before speaking, please complete an orange information card and hand it to our recording secretary. When you are testifying, please address your remarks to the board. We also ask that the proceedings be orderly. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is an independent volunteer board of citizens. We are not part of the city administration. We are served in our efforts by Vicki Fielmeyer, our assistant city attorney, and Eloise Solstrom, city planner, and Rachel Knudsen and Jackie Clark, recording secretary. On the agenda, first off, we have approval of the minutes of our meeting for February 13th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is a request to allow massage therapy as a special home occupation at 2620 Northwood Drive. Eloise?
Good evening. This request is by Cindy Larson, owner of the business known as Total Relaxation. The applicant is requesting an allowance for a professional massage therapy business to operate as a home business from the residential property at 2820 Northwood Drive. The applicant has been in business with a home occupancy permit for the last 13 years at her current home located at 507 26th Street. She and her husband are in the process of buying the residential property at 2820 Northwood, where she wishes to reestablish her existing business. The city has not received any complaints concerning her existing location. Under the city code, for those who are not aware, the city regulates home occupations. There's two types. There's those that are considered permitted and that which can be approved by staff, and then those that are considered special, which have to go before the board for a public hearing. The code requires certain restrictions to the activity, one being that the activity cannot alter the normal residential character of the premise or in any ways cause a nuisance to adjoining residents. A limitation on the amount of the home that can be used for the business is also stated, and it cannot occupy more than 25% of the total floor area. There's a limitation on any signs and equipment, on what kind of equipment and employment, traffic, and there's also parking criteria. There's criteria related to if the home business involves any instruction of classes, and there's a limitation that there can only be one home occupation per address, per home. The applicant has stated the following, and staff has included those as findings of fact and conclusions, that there is off-street parking available to clients on the applicant's proposed double-wide driveway. On-street parking is also available in front of the residence if needed, but that would not be, that would just be supplemental and and beyond what is expected to be needed. No changes will be made to the premises from its residential character. Approximately 120 square feet of the 2,223 square foot home is proposed for the business, which is only 5.4%. And actually, the code does allow up to 25%, so quite a bit more than what the applicant is proposing. No sign is proposed. There will be no specialized equipment or deliveries. The applicant will be the only employee. The hours of operation that are requested are Tuesdays from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon by appointment, and all of these would be by appointment only. The number of clients will be no more than 4 daily, and there are no other home occupations at this location. Because all of these findings of fact are within the allowance of the code, staff is recommending approval. I did put a graphic on the screen that shows the neighborhood where this property is located. And so staff recommends that the Zoning Board of Adjustment support the findings of fact and support approval of alternative 1, which is that the Zoning Board of Adjustment may approve this request for a special home occupation to allow a massage therapy business at 2820 Northwood Drive, subject to the home occupation being operated as described herein.
Sorry, I misspoke on the address. It is 2820 Northwood Drive. Any questions for staff?
I have one. You said there were letters of reference you received?
In the application, there was a letter of reference included. Maybe that didn't get submitted to you. It was from one of the existing neighbors, and I don't have a copy with me.
That's okay.
It's in my office.
I was
but
just curious if it was from an existing neighbor with the
It was
Yeah.
an existing neighborhood.
on 26th Street. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you.
And I guess just to kind of follow up on that, I presume the neighbors at 2820 Northwood Drive were notified of this?
Yes. Any property owners within 200 feet of the property received notification of this meeting tonight, and we did also put a sign out. We did receive numerous calls inquiring as to what the action that was being considered, and we responded to that.
But no concerns were raised?
Some cases we sent the agenda item. Mostly people were wanting information. No one, I indicated to people if they did have concerns, they should come tonight.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I also failed to tell you the proceedings. I'll just start there. The order of proceedings for each application will be as follows. First, an oral statement summarizing the issue and procedural steps will be presented by staff. Second, testimony and evidence will be presented by the applicant. Third, testimony may be heard from any member of the audience who wish to speak in support of or opposition to the appeal. Next, the board will give the applicant and the city staff an opportunity to present concluding summaries and arguments. And finally, the board will discuss the issues and evidence and come to a decision. So next up would be the applicant if they'd like to speak. Sorry about that. State your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Cindy Larson, and I live at now 507 26th Street. And thank you for tonight, for being here. And
Do you swear to tell the truth?
yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, pretty much what she said is what I don't know what else you want me else ask or say. Definitely 4 people in one day. Sometimes it's just 2, and my hour breaks are different. I give 30 minutes apart from each client that comes. So there'll be a half an hour break. The only time they overlap is if I might have one person talking too much, stays late, and the other one comes early. Otherwise, I just usually have one car in the driveway at a time.
Any questions for the applicant? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience wish to speak for or against? Seeing none, back to applicant or staff for any summarization.
I don't have anything further to add.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Discussion?
Well, based on the findings of fact that are within the allowance that the code states, I'm going to make a motion to approve this request for a special home occupation to allow a massage therapy business at 2820 Northwood Drive, subject to the home occupation being operated as it is described within the report.
I'll second.
Roll call? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. The motion is approved. Any person deciding to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days after the filing of this decision. Next on the agenda is a request to allow massage therapy as a special home occupation at 4618 Dover Drive. Did I get that address right? Go ahead.
All right. I did put the a color map on the screen to show the neighborhood. This neighborhood has a lot of trees. And so actually it's a little hard to even see the houses from the street in some cases. The request is to allow massage therapy as a special home occupation at 4618 Dover Drive. And it's just incidental that these two came to staff at a similar time. There's no relationship between them, even though they are both in a similar situation of where they have a current business and asking for a relocate of their business to a new address. So the applicant's requesting allowance for a professional massage therapy business to operate as a home business from the residential property at 4618 Dover Drive. The applicant has been in business with a home occupation permit for the last 4 years at her current home located at 2016 McCarthy Road. She and her husband are in the process of buying the residential property at 4618 Dover Drive, where she wishes to relocate her existing business. So there again, the city code has guidelines for what can be approved as a home occupation, as I previously discussed. And so I'm going to jump to the findings. The applicant has stated that there's off-street parking available to clients on the applicant's double-wide driveway, proposed double-wide driveway, as well as on-street parking available on Dover Drive in front of the residence. We don't anticipate the on-street parking to be needed, but it would be there if as a supplemental parking area. No changes are proposed to the premises. A maximum of 551 square feet of the 2,327 square foot home will be used for the business, which is approximately 24% of the total floor area of the home, and 25% is the maximum allowed. No sign is proposed. There will be no specialized equipment or deliveries. The applicant will be the only employee. The hours of operation will be, or proposed to be, Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. All of these are by appointment only, with the option, and she is asking that there would be an option to add Tuesday afternoons or evening in the future. The number of clients will be no more than 3 per day, and there are no other home occupations at this location. Based on the findings of fact, which are allowed under the restrictions of the code, staff is recommending that you approve this request for a special home occupation to allow a massage therapy business at 4618 Dover Drive, subject to the home occupation being operated as described herein, which, and this is alternative one that staff is recommending.
Any questions for staff?
Yes. The applicant has been operating has a home occupancy permit for the last 4 years at their current
Yes,
home. Has there ever been any issues identified?
not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, right.
And also, we did notice the public, again, the property owners within 200 feet of the property, as well as putting a sign out.
Just want to clarify one thing that I make sure I heard correctly. Did you say the double wide driveway already exists, or they'll be
Oh,
expanding it?
No, it exists. It's proposed because they do not actually own the home yet.
Okay.
It's under contract, so I
That's what I
couldn't
understand.
say their
Okay.
driveway.
I heard you say proposed double wide
I
driveway
meant
and,
proposed in the sense it will be their driveway.
okay, got it. Now I understand.
That was my question too. And then Tuesday afternoons, would they have to come back for modification if they add those? Or is that just,
It would be up to for you to decide if you want them to come back to add it, or if you want to give them some flexibility in adding some
Okay.
hours.
so the way it's built right now with our findings allows them the flexibility? Am I reading that right? Because it
That-
says
yes,
with the
yes.
option of adding. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you.
I believe the code says no more than 10
visits a day.
visits a day, so.
And so it's within the code.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So I think if we approve it based on the findings in the report, then
Then
it would allow for the flexibility.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
No.
Would the applicant like to speak? You don't have to. Please state your name and address,
Sarah Beavers, 2016 McCarthy Road.
and do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I've been licensed and working in massage for just over 10 years. And sorry, I'm kind of nervous. I just want to specify too on the proposed office space. The office space at that house is separate from the main house, so I wouldn't actually use all that square footage that is listed. That's just how much it is. So I do have separate massage insurance besides what I would have as homeowner's insurance. And I schedule an hour between clients, so there isn't ever any overlap. If there is any ever parking in the street, it might be my mom who's babysitting for me. So
I remember you were here 4 years ago, so.
yeah, I'm just as nervous this time. So. Yeah, I think that's it. So
Any questions for applicant?
All right.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone from the audience like to speak for or against?
I would like to.
Okay, please bring the orange card up.
Well, I gave it to him.
Okay, thank you. To the microphone. Please state your name and address.
My name is Jean Presteman, and I live at 4606 Dover Drive. And I would like to say that this does not clearly represent Dover Drive.
Sorry, do you swear to tell the truth?
Oh, yes, I do swear
you.
to tell the truth, yes. This does not represent Dover Drive. It's a one-way street, okay? And there is a circle at the end of this street, okay? Is there another photograph of this?
I don't have another one handy. I
Well-
didn't bring a bigger picture.
This is a misrepresentation of our street, okay? It ends in a small circle, okay? And there are driveways that go right from this circle into, where people are living. And in fact, Google Maps shows that there is a street there that leaves Dover Drive, okay? But it actually goes into someone's property, okay, and ends right up against the garage door, okay? And so that's one of the reasons that I believe this is not a good idea, because of the fact that we are a dead-end street. It says dead-end street. However, the people who live at the end of the street, where we don't have it showing, okay, that part is not showing. They are always hearing cars screech around this circle because they don't expect to. They do not see the sign, apparently. They do not see the sign that says dead end. And so that's, of course, a separate concern, but I'm thinking that because we are a dead end street, that this is an inappropriate enterprise. Okay? I believe that we have a commercial section in our community, do we not? And it seems to me that that would be the appropriate place to have a massage therapy business in a commercial district. And I believe our sign saying it's a dead end must be inadequate based on the experience of the people who live at the end of the street. But it needs to be, right at the head of the street, and apparently that doesn't work out. But that is the reason that I believe that this would not be a good idea. Okay? Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
If I may. So your argument is because this is a dead-end street,
Yes.
that a home occupation should not be permitted. Am I understanding your argument?
Well, at least anything that involves cars, in more traffic.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I understand. I guess I partially understand what you're trying to say, but it looks like the parking will not be on the street because they only have one
One client at a time,
client at a time,
double wide.
and there is a driveway that is more than adequate to allow for off-street parking. So I guess I would just wonder about that, and it's pretty limited during the day and during the week. And then your comment about commercial, there's commercial spaces, yes, but the city does allow within its code to allow for special home occupations, and this, which is why we're here to examine this, but I mean, this use is permitted within the code. So people are allowed to have a home occupation if it meets the criteria that have been outlined within the city code.
I understand that. But I believe that we have a special circumstance in that we are a dead-end street.
Okay.
And that makes traffic so much more of an impediment to our peace. And we already have Delaware Drive close by. And a lot of drivers live up the street. And so we already have some traffic and traffic noise and so forth. But the fact that we have a lot of trees is, of course, one of the things. Well, now there's the circle.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was just saying.
It's
So-
one of the committee.
It was in our packet.
Okay, it wasn't back. Okay, right.
One.
So you see, it is not a long street. And, but that's my
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
questions? No?
Oh, give it to the clerk.
Please state your name and address.
Name's Rodney Mulder, and we live at 4705 Dover Drive, which is under the sign there that says subject property.
And do you swear to tell the truth?
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Well, one thing I'm going to tell you now is anybody that goes by the driveway at the proposed location is going to turn around my driveway and go back, because I've been watching that happen for 20 years. I also know their driveway is hidden by brush and trees that, if you're not familiar with it, you are going to drive by and you will turn around my driveway, because they don't go to the end of the street and come back. That's maybe my problem or their problem getting there, whatever. There should be a concern, a very big concern, about clients going in and out of this building due to the stairways. The driveway is the highest point on that property. And if you park there, you are going down 3 to 4 sets of stairs outside, and they are steep. I've been there. And if those things are a little bit damp because they were treated wood 20, 30 years ago, and if you know how what wood is, if it gets damp, they're slick. Somebody's going to fall, and if you go down them steps and fall, you could easily go 20, 25 feet before you stop. That whole hillside on this side of Dover Drive goes down like this. All them homes past Prestonman's and the one across the street from us, the backside's on stilts to get up in the air. I mean, it goes way down in the bottom where the creek goes in through here. So there ought to be a safety concern, stairways. When you get in the house, if you go in middle floor, you're still going downstairs to get to the bottom. That building is at least, if not 5 stories high on the back side. You go down, you go down, you go down. And if you have a problem you're getting therapy for, you also have to walk back up, 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 and up. And that is a safety concern. All right. Traffic, if it parks out on the street, I can live with it. I mean, we all park out on the street once in a while. I don't have an issue with that. I think there's plenty appropriate locations in that area, business locations where they could locate. We have a lot of new buildings, apartments out that side of town. The bottom floor is set up for business. Top floor is apartments for whoever wants to live there. And most of them business places are sitting empty. We have a nice, quiet neighborhood. It goes down to that cul-de-sac, comes around. We've been there for 20 years. It's wooded. We enjoy the wildlife, and we don't have a tremendous lot of traffic out there. And that's what part of the draw is to us that live out on that street. You know, can we all learn to live with it? Yeah, we can. We can adjust. We're no different than you. We like to keep the neighborhood quiet. The setting, it was developed in the 60s. Most of the homes are of that era. And it's just a really nice neighborhood that we all enjoy the way it is. And what we don't want to see is a bunch of traffic coming in. And I realize you said with what clients could be there. Some of our concerns that we had is, will be people coming 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Well, I think you said 7 o'clock would be ours. Is that subject to change, or is that set in stone? I guess the question, 6 months from now that, let's change. I have people that want to come at 10 o'clock at night or something to that effect. I mean, are those hours set in stone, or can that stuff be changed? That's some of our concern. If once we let it in, how much is it going to change? We already heard that we want to maybe change the hours on Tuesday to go longer. So maybe 3 months from now, we want to add a Monday and evening or something like that. And that concerns us that once they have the foot in the door here, how fast can we open the door and expand what we're doing? I know if they rented a business space for one of them new buildings, I'm sure there'd be quite an expense to doing that. But it could be quite an expense to us in the neighborhood if this comes in and expands hours, expands clients coming in there, and it changes our way of life. So we're kind of against doing it. We're just a neighborhood that likes it to be nice and quiet without a residential neighborhood. That's what we want, a residential neighborhood. It's been that way for 50-some years, and we'd like to see it another 50, but I'm sure we won't live that long, so thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for, I think it was Ron? No questions?
No.
Anyone else would like to speak? In a minute. Anyone else like to speak for or against? She's still public. You can come and speak. We can get it afterwards. State your name and address, please.
Cindy Larson, 507 26th Street. I didn't realize I was going to get into this.
Yep.
But
Are you,
I
do you
just
swear
wanna-
to tell the truth?
yes.
Thank
sorry.
you.
I just want to make clear that from my perspective of being a massage therapist for 13 years into my business, it was really quiet. You just have very few cars come, and when they come, they usually park in the driveway and they back out. I know the concerns of other driveways, but it is really quiet. It really is quiet, and I'm speaking on behalf of her since I'm a massage therapist. I don't know what the house looks like. I have never been there. That I will not, talk about, but I will just talk about how quiet. I don't think they're going to notice a whole lot of difference in cars coming, because she sounds like she might just have 3 people a day. And they're usually there an hour or maybe half. I don't know what her job is on her massage therapy, but I don't feel like that's going to be a problem with her business of being too noisy or anything. I'll still feel like that they won't even know anybody's there visiting. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks.
Anybody else from the audience like to speak? Okay, that closed. Oh, one more. Please state your name and address.
Catherine Mulder, 4705 Dover Drive.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate one of the points that Jean made, and this is my major concern. Our street is really pretty narrow. When you get, 2 cars passing down it, pretty well, it's full. And it doesn't get cleaned off first, needless to say, when we have snowfall. But I guess I'm a little concerned when I hear her say, Mom will be parking in the street because she'll be taking care of the children. So that means a constant parking in the street, probably. And you can see the street is not straight, it is curved. And having lived there for 20 years, I know it can be kind of slippery and treacherous a little bit when it is snow covered like that. If you're constantly parking in the street, we have garbage trucks that come down the streets. I just find that the street is pretty narrow to think that you might have commercial traffic coming down, going back and forth. I also believe in the peace and quiet of our neighborhood and not having a lot of traffic. I love to sit outside and hear the birds singing and the crickets chirping of an evening, and the wildlife there. The more traffic, the less of that we would have to enjoy. Any questions for me?
So you want everything? Thank you. Anybody else from the audience like to speak?
I'd like to add just one thing if I could.
Okay, please come to the microphone.
Rodney Mulder, 4705 Dover Drive. The other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is the driveway itself. When you get towards the building, there is no handrails on the driveway. And if you went off the edge of that driveway, you could be dropping 10, 12 feet before you hit ground. I have seen the past resident there not be able to drop back up out of his driveway in the wintertime when it was slick. So if someone's coming in for a client there and that driveway is a little bit slick, it does slope down towards the garage. And there's no handrails. And if they slip off that side, there's going to be some serious injuries. And I'm concerned really the safety of it. Them outside steps, and I would invite you to go look at that and actually walk down them steps to see what it's like. And keep in mind that some of the clients that might come up are going to have a hard time up and down them stairways. And look at that driveway, because it's like this. When you go down towards the garage, that's it. I mean, and if there's any control and if this is allowed, I would like to see somebody in the zoning say, you have to put some handrails up or something in the name of safety. Because it's better to do it ahead of time than to get somebody really seriously injured or disabled. And after that happens. So it's another point of safety I want to bring up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Could I say something else?
Are we allowed to have them come back? I don't know.
You can, but you're free to, as chair, to limit.
Okay, yes, if you'd like to come to the mic again.
They're still sworn in.
One of the things that I noted is that this letter was sent to only people who lived within 200 feet of this house.
Which is the requirement.
I understand that's your requirement, but that is inadequate, in particular when the properties are spread out. I got it, and then the people across the street maybe, and the gentleman next door. But I believe that I told you about it, right? You didn't get a letter? Oh, you did get a letter as well. Okay. But the people that live down on the circle didn't get letters. Okay.
It's also noticed in the paper and a sign in the yard.
Okay. Well, it's the sign we saw on Sunday morning. Okay. I don't know when it was placed there.
I believe it's
because
2
the
weeks
weather's very
before.
bad. Oh, no, it was not there for 2 weeks.
It was placed last week. I believe it was on Thursday, possibly Friday last week.
Okay. Well, we weren't outdoors. We weren't going in and out of our house because of the weather. So, but it wasn't there 2 weeks. No, it wasn't there 2 weeks. Okay. But I would also like to say, if you are asking for people to approve of businesses in their homes, and you have a spread out properties as we have, 200 feet is inadequate because the people didn't know about it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else from the audience like to speak? All right, that closes the public hearing. So we are now back to the applicant for summarization and then staff.
Sarah Beavers, 2016 McCarthy Road.
Thank you.
I will tell the truth. I just wanted to address some of the concerns. I'll start with the hours. Although I do have certain hours stated, I'm not always full those days. I average about 20 clients per month. I've thought about taking on a couple new clients. It's by referral only, but it's just part-time. So I don't have a lot of people coming and going. And at my current residence, I have a single driveway, so I leave that open for clients. So I myself and my mom do park in the street, but at the other house has a bigger garage and a driveway. So I'm not as concerned about much parking in the street. I don't plan to work later than 7 because I want to put my 13-month-old to bed at night. And I was considering adding one massage on a Tuesday evening in the future, but it was just something I was thinking about. As for the driveway, the sellers and we were work because the driveway needed some repair. So we have an arrangement with the sellers. I don't know if it would happen before we moved in or not, but there's going to be some work done with the driveway, and guardrails will be put up. And the staircase that leads down to the office space, we're hoping to update it or put a ramp in its place, something that would be more safe. And my existing clients are aware that there are stairs and that I'm hoping to make it more safe, and none of them have stated any objections about it. And if it's an issue, I can request that they all park in the driveway to avoid, because I currently have some clients that just prefer to park in the street, but they would be willing to park in the driveway if I asked them to. Did I cover all of those concerns? I mean, really, it's 1 to 3 people per day, a couple days a week. It's really quiet. All my current neighbors, if they hadn't been given notice or I wasn't friendly with them, they wouldn't even know. It doesn't make any change. That's part of what we like about that street, is because we're quiet and outdoorsy. And we've always wanted a property that we could experience that on. And we were hoping that for our little kid too. So just one kid. And I don't know if he's noisy yet because he's just a baby. So was there anything else?
Do you guys have anything for the applicant?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eloise, anything?
I would just say that your approval will be based on the stated findings unless you make any restrictions to those findings beyond what's already stated. So that would be the terms of the home occupation. And if the home occupation were wanting to expand beyond what is stated, they would need to come back to you.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions?
I just would like to maybe make a few statements. One is that we have, as we review these types of things, so in this case, a home occupation, a special home occupation, we have to review it based on the criteria that is outlined within the city code. And the city code identifies very specific things that we need to look for, which was reviewed by staff when you went through the first one. So it has to do with that it does not alter the normal residential character of the premises, that it does not occupy more than 25% of the total floor area, that there's limitations with regards to signs, equipment, employment, and traffic, and all of those things are well within what's allowed within the city code. So I just wanted to kind of point that out.
Yep.
So that would be entered into the record.
Anything else?
Go ahead.
I think that the applicant has addressed some of the concerns. The parking, they needed 2 spaces, and the double wide driveway carries that. And I think, being friendly neighbors, if you could request her to please have her clients park in the driveway, I think she would accommodate that. So I don't think that's a big concern. And the safety of the steps and the slope of the driveway, that's basically on her insurance, that homeowner's insurance and maybe the therapist's insurance. So that's not a concern of the city code, I don't think.
It's not what is listed based on what we have heard from
Right.
staff and as within our report. It's not an element that we can examine.
Right.
I just wanted to point out in one of the standards, I know there's a limit of 10 total cars a day, correct? And then
Yes.
there's also a limit hourly on the number of cars under the parking criteria.
Yep.
That really limits it to 4 an hour. So there's a further limit on the traffic that they'll be in accordance with.
Well with it. Yep.
Mhm.
According to the plan. Okay. Well, I will make a motion to approve this request for a special home occupation to allow a massage therapy business at 4618 Dover Drive, subject to the home occupation being operated and described here in the report.
Second.
Oh,
Sorry.
I would like to amend that motion slightly and say that, subject to the home occupation being described subject to the condition that appointments will go no later than 7 p.m. on any evening.
I believe the code, isn't it allowed to 9 o'clock
Well,
or normal 9 or 10?
so I think that you need to specify whether or not it would be best if we specified whether or not we accept these findings. And I think that's implicit in your initial motion, right? That you accepted these findings. There is an ability of the board. Let's see here. The board may, this is at sub B, the board may, if warranted by the evidence, impose additional conditions as may be deemed necessary to protect the legitimate use and enjoyment of neighboring properties. So if the board were to make a finding that we wanted to limit the business hours to 9 o'clock or whatever it was that Suzanne wanted to, I think you could impose that condition. Do you agree, Eloise?
Yes.
Well, I really don't want to limit her past, I mean, I don't want to limit it to 7,
Okay, so the motion
but it's,
dies.
Yeah, no second.
It's okay.
okay.
That's fine.
But there is a second on the original motion, so.
Right, so we can go forward with that one.
Yeah.
Correct?
The hours have to be consistent with this finding if you're accepting that finding.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If you're not accepting that finding, I think you need to make a different finding.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that,
Wednesdays, 7 p.m. is the final time. Thursdays, 2 p.m., Fridays, 6 p.m., Saturdays, 2 p.m.
Right, with the option of adding Tuesday afternoons or evenings in the
evening.
future.
So if you want to restrict that to something different, I think you have to make a finding.
well, it doesn't need to be restricted differently.
No. Agree.
So your 7 o'clock works, but that's in here, so it's no change.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry. Gosh.
Aye.
I'm having a day. All right, motion carries. Any person desiring to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days after the filing of this decision. Any comments?
It's been a good time, Susan and Matt. Last time here, so.
I enjoyed my time also.
I was going to say, I've enjoyed my time here. I'm sorry to see it have ended, but I wish you all the best of luck as you continue on.
Are we sure there's no additional March meeting? Are we positive?
There's only one in March, isn't there?
I thought there was only one March.
Special meeting, perhaps.
Oh, that's true. If there's a special meeting, I'll thank you again.
Any other?
Oh, so we need a
Comments?
motion, do we need a motion to? So a motion to adjourn?
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. We are adjourned.